Hey everyone, welcome back. In celebration of Hispanic Heritage Month, today we are highlighting Puerto Rican native author Luis Alberto Rivera Colón. He recently wrote a new memoir entitled Living Between Cultures from Borinquen to Hollywood, a story detailing his humbling beginnings from Puerto Rico to the States in pursuit of to achieve the American dream. And he's here to tell us more about this book. Welcome, author Luis Alberto Rivera Colón.
Hi, Rhina. Good to see you again.
It's so good to see you. Could you use any more names? You have to use all of your names?
Well, actually, because when I go to Puerto Rico, everything changes. It's not Luis Rivera anymore. It's Luis Alberto Rivera Colón. So in homage to them, I put my whole name in there. But you notice it's LA because it couldn't fit on the cover. So we had to shorten it a little.
But I like that you used LA because it's kind of clever considering that the story is from Borinquen to Hollywood. So let's talk about this book in the making, why you've chosen to write this book now at this time of your life.
Actually, I've been working on it for years, and it started out because I wanted to give my kids a little sense of history, a little bit of legacy as to what their grandparents went through, what I went through, coming and migrating from Puerto Rico to the States. And the typical immigrants kind of hard work situation and some of the challenges and successes that we had. And so I had laid it aside for years and didn't get back to it. And all of a sudden, my wife, Norma, Norma, who, by the way, sends you best wishes, she Louis, when are you going to finish that book? And I said, well, it's really not a book for the public, it's for the kids. And she says, you need to take this COVID time since we've been locked away to finish it. So I did. I shared it with some friends and they told me, wow, Louis, you need to publish this thing because it helps to educate the public as to the culture of Puerto Rico, the nuances, the foods, the arroz con pollo and all that good stuff and the music. So I finally did publish it. I got the nerve to publish it. And so far, people have been responding really nicely.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to reading it myself. I know it was just recently published, but just to give our viewers a little overview of your trajectory, because the reason you wrote this is because obviously you lived in LA, and I also wanted to share that you were also a newscaster, a producer out there, and also that you did live in New York. So shall we take them from your trip from Puerto Rico to New York and then from New York to LA, because right now you currently reside in Virginia, and I believe you were a council member over there, right?
Well, actually, I'm a commissioner. I'm a commissioner appointed by the mayor and the city council. And it's kind of ironic because, all my life, I fought against discrimination. I fought against racism and everything else. And I came to Virginia and right away, without my asking, I got a phone call one day and they said, hey, you've just been appointed by the mayor and the city council to this commission. So it's really fantastic that I'm able to continue to give even at my age.
So that's wonderful. It's wonderful that you're still making a stand and making sure that you are presente for us, despite of whatever state you reside in. However, I jumped fast forward to Virginia, but can you take us on a really quick trip from what I guess your experiences were, which is what the book is about, having come from Puerto Rico to living in the Bronx to then moving to LA?
Yes, absolutely. Well, as you know, my father was a sugar cane cutter, and so was my grandfather before him. And that's how they made their living. They came to the States. They tried their best to make it, if you will. And of all of the children, I was fortunate enough to get a college education. And without any experience and without any courses in communication or broadcasting, I heard that there was a job opening available with an NBC affiliate in Connecticut, actually Hartford, Connecticut. And so I went, talked to them, and I was able to sell my way into that job. About almost 3 years later, I got a phone call from, let's say, a major network, television network, that asked me if I could join them. And they wanted to send me to Hollywood, to their Hollywood studio. There I worked, I got to know a lot of the Mexican community, Mexican-American community, and so on. And I did my thing. And even in those days, it was rough because every time I said Luis Rivera, rolling my R's, I'd get a letter from the Ku Klux Klan, or somebody in the studio would scream and say, hey, that's for the Spanish stations. You don't speak Spanish here. And then when I interviewed people, I interviewed them in Spanish if they were Spanish speaking. I translated, and all hell would break loose with that. But in any case, while I was going through all that, I met the family of a young man, Freddie Prinz, who had a show, Chico and the Man, at that time, and it was a #1 hit. And he also made a motion picture, and he had all kinds of performances in Vegas and everything. And I found out through his parents that he was having a hard time trying to make the transition from the Bronx. He lived in the Bronx also. And so I understood what he was going through, because the pressures, when you get to that level, are so huge that if you're a young person, it's very hard to deal with it and cope with it.
Right. I know. I experienced Hollywood, so I can relate to the displacement, the scarcity of us, and also the unidentifiable situation in being different. Because for some reason, I would imagine when you were out there, it must have been really, really challenging because they couldn't identify what you were.
Right. Absolutely. I was the only Puerto Rican on the air down there in LA, and it was crazy. But the beauty of it was that the minorities could tell that I was trying to relate to them. And I was afforded many experiences, from the Mexican-American community to the Native American community to the Black community. And so I was very grateful for that. But the thing that drove me crazy was that when you get into a corporate situation like that, you don't call the shots. Somebody else is calling them for you. And it became very difficult because I'm a kind of person that loves people, and I love my heritage. I want to help people. I'm a good news reporter, not a hardcore or a bad news reporter. And you have to be able to jump when they tell you to jump. And many times I was told to jump and I didn't particularly want to.
Right. It wasn't something that you stood for. And it, you know, I get it in the sense of why you wrote this story and why it's important for you to share it with the next generation. I mean, obviously we're in different times. However, what time capsule are we looking at within the storytelling?
Gosh, you're talking the first half of my life. So you're talking 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, and almost to the 80s.
Nice. So it's a time trip from 1940s into the 1980s.
So really, I shared the manuscript with a Puerto Rican author who I have a lot of respect for. And she told me that she loved it because not only did it talk about the culture and so on, but it also was a historical document about the trajectory of Puerto Ricans coming to the States, coming to New York City, etc., which it hasn't been written about. And she said she was so happy she wanted to come down and give me a big hug. And so that to me was a confirmation that I really needed to share it.
Well, we thank you for bringing it here and making us Bronx proud, because your origins are from Puerto Rico, the Bronx, and then California, and now you're in Virginia. I'm happy that we were able to present you to our viewers in the Bronx. I know the book just came out and it's now available on Amazon. And I just want to say thank you for making the time from Virginia. And I also want to acknowledge you for continuing to be a stand for the Latinx community wherever you are. Thank you.
Thank you, Rhina, and I really appreciate you. You know, I'm one of your biggest fans. I've been following you over the internet, and I love what you've become as a woman of power and not afraid to let the world know that we have a great heritage.
Gracias. Gracias. All right, show me your book. Let's see your book.
Oh, okay. Well, this is an author's copy, but I don't know if you can see it that well, but I wanted to pay honor to my mom, and that's her back there with me and my little brother who passed away, and I mentioned that in the book. But
awesome.
Yeah, she was an amazing woman. She was
amazing. Awesome. I just wanted to make sure that everybody saw the cover. All right. So thanks again for being with us.
Hey, blessings always.
Igualmente. And you guys, once again, Living Between Cultures from Borinquen to Hollywood is now available on Amazon.com. Make sure to get your copy. It's going to be a classic. We have to take a quick break, but when we return, we'll hear from another Latinx creative. Don't go anywhere.